Well, the motorsports world may currently be on postponement, but the sim racing world is alive and well. Good evening, everybody, and welcome here to the fifth race of the season for the FTF Grand National Series presented by Splash and Go. We are here tonight for the S&G Graphics Slideways 150 at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Qualifying is currently in progress. Seth Cole here tonight in the broadcast booth with you. Flying solo tonight. We only had a few of our Flatout Racing Network staff that were able to be available tonight, and with splitting between two simultaneous broadcasts, we kind of had to split it up very finely, and so therefore I'm going to be doing the best I can here tonight to bring you all the action of this 150 miler. Should be a good one though, because Atlanta Motor Speedway has a lot of character. It's one of the few, actually really the only well-known D-shaped mile-and-a-half track out there that hasn't been recently paved, and so therefore on a scale of 1 to 5 in terms of grip at this track, it's probably about a 1.5. I've seen a lot of drivers out there really force the issue off the corners. I check on them a little bit later, and they've knocked the entire right side of their race cars. So grip is going to be at an all-time high for these drivers here tonight. And another thing about Atlanta as well is you're going to see them fan out double wide, three wide here in the early portions of this race. And what's really exciting too, watching the lap times here in practice, they were about the top 20, only separated by 0.3 of a second. That's actually really, really close in terms of speed. So I think tonight, this track is really going to favor the driver that is the most conservative, because it's going to be all about tire conservation here this evening. We do have a fuel window, but I have a feeling these drivers are going to be screaming for tires way before that. And of course, coupled with the fact that we've got a track with very low grip, very high temperature conditions, which makes it even slicker, and the fact that the tires are going to wear as we go into long green flag runs, all of that combined means these drivers are going to be fighting the wheel in every single corner, whether it's going into 1 and 3 or coming off of 2 and 4. A little bit of a late start tonight as a number of drivers had to qualify their way in. The top 25 in points already locked into the show. The other drivers had to qualify their way in another session, and then they were given another 10 minutes to practice the conditions that will be taking place here during the race. So as drivers are out there currently putting down their lap times, we've got a couple of names up near the front that are familiar, but maybe a couple that aren't that familiar, as I noticed some new names that are making their debuts here this evening. And we'll see what they bring to the table with a lot of the old familiar names that we have had here in the past couple of races. Now, while last week's race at Phoenix did not get broadcasted, but so far this season, we have had 3 different winners in 4 races. Of course, two-time winner Derek Justice comes in as the points leader, and he is the only one of the former winners that's up inside of the top 20 in the points. Daytona winner Kane Cook currently sits 24th in the standings, and last week's winner, Michael Cozy Jr., who is in the field tonight, took the checkers at Phoenix, but he is 44th in the standings because last week's start was his first of the season. So certainly you can bet his goal today is to be up there at the front, accumulate as many points as he can as he tries to begin his climb up there potentially for a playoff position. The playoffs coming into this race as follows. Right now you've got top of the board, Derek Justice. Blake Reynolds is currently second. He's 34 points back, so that shows you what the playoff points and the win bonus points for Derek Justice have done for him in terms of gapping the rest of the field. Jake Poulin right now is third in the standings. David Shieldhouse in fourth. Michael Frisch currently fifth. Bronson Stafford 6th, Andrew Schwartz in 7th, Shane Thier 8th, Kyle Riley 9th, Ryan Narwaki in 10th, Philip Kraus right now in 11th, and Kane Cook, who is still inside the top 25 in points, currently would be in possession of the final playoff position. I'm not exactly certain, but my assumption is that you would have to be in the top 25 in points for your win to count towards a spot in the playoffs, and Kane Cook is not in the field here tonight. So far, Kane Cook has only made 2 starts this season, those being, of course, his win at Daytona and last week at Phoenix. So he may very well fall outside of the top 25 in points after today's event. Still waiting here for drivers to complete their laps. I do believe we may already have our pole sitter decided, and indeed we do. It's going to be one of those drivers that I thought might be up there at the top of the board that are making their first start of the season, and it's going to be the 06 of Spencer Burns. He is going to start on the inside of the front row alongside of Brandon McKissick, who, if memory serves me correctly, was the pole sitter back at Rockingham. So McKissick's so close to getting his second pole of the season. We are currently in the process of waiting for drivers to grid. Like our two former winners in the field. Let's see where they're going to be starting. Derek Justice is going to be starting in, well, I don't know if he even took a time. They have Michael Cozy Jr. scored 31st. So we'll find out exactly who qualified where there, especially when we take a look here at our starting lineup. Now, obviously, this will show only the drivers that took time here in qualifying, as we're waiting for everybody else to get on track. So Spencer Burns with the pole. McKissick will line up in second. Blake Reynolds in third. Brian Mercurio will start on the outside of row 2. Pulling your top 5, Femi Olot. Going to be interesting because there's two drivers that are running interstate battery schemes here tonight, so it'll be a little bit difficult maybe on my part to keep the two of them straight. Blake McCandless, I believe, is making his first start of the season. He'll start in 6th. Dylan Alt will roll off in 7th. Sean Butler's been really good in the last couple of races that FRN has broadcasted. He's going to start in 8th. And completing the top 10, there's that other driver, Graham Boland. He's the other Interstate Batteries driver, so going to have to differentiate him and Olot in this race. And Adam Baker, another driver who I believe is making his series debut, is going to complete the top 10 for the starting grid. Take a look here at the rest of the lineup. There you see Derek Justice is going to roll off from the 12th position. And Michael Cozy Jr. We'll see if indeed the intel that I'm looking at here is correct, with him rolling off from the 31st position. Going to be very interesting to see here early on in this race too, just exactly what happens in terms of double file restarts, because a lot of drivers all by themselves were coming off the corner and they were getting really, really loose. So you've got to wonder, you know, with having a driver right down against your passenger side door, the right side of your car, pinning you down, you got to think that, you know, with how we've seen it at super speedways, that's going to really suck the back of the car around, make it even looser coming off the corner. And a lot of drivers that were even up at the top of the board in practice were having issues coming off of turn 2, especially, including Jose Solis Jr., who spent a good portion of the practice session up in P1. So this is going to be very interesting to see just how easy these drivers are willing to take it on the initial start. Take a look at some of our track facts coming into Atlanta. 98 laps is just a little bit over 150 miles. The banking in the corners, 24 degrees, only 5 degrees on the straightaway. And the fuel window there, you can see 60 to 65 laps. 60 was the number I was given. Of course, drivers could utilize the fact that you can maybe use these corners to brake. So you could, and you know, maybe let off, so you could save a little bit and maybe stretch it potentially to 65 laps. But I guarantee you, these drivers, they are going to be looking for tires more sooner than they will be for fuel. Here we go, then get ready to go green, and Spencer Burns receives the green flag and gets us underway here tonight in the Slideways 150. Far looks good off of turn 2. Nice panoramic shot there, giving a view all the way back through the field. Looks like everybody's going to get through there safely, at least for the moment. Battle up front's going to be for second place. That's going on about 3-4 tenths behind the race leader, Blake Reynolds, with a rear decklet full of the Interstate Batteries Cami of Femi Olot. And behind them, you got a battle for the 4th position, Brandon McKissick and Brian Mercurio, and then it's just about everybody else inside the top 10 behind them. Dylan Alt, Sean Butler, Blake McCandless in this group, Graham Boland as well. Everybody migrating down to that inside line. Going to be interesting to see here as the tires wear and the cars start to tighten up if we're going to see anybody make any ventures out to the 2nd and maybe 3rd group. I saw a couple of guys trying that extreme outside line against the wall in practice. Interesting to see if anybody's going to put that lane to use here in race conditions. Femiola's going to take the second spot away from Blake Reynolds. Now he'll try and pull away and reel in Spencer Burns for the race lead. Reynolds going to lose a little bit of ground there. I thought for a moment it looked like that car might have gotten a little bit loose on entry. As this is where all the fun is right now. This is for around the 5th position. Fury on the outside, Butler on the inside. Ooh, he's going to get pinned down there by Dylan Alt. That was a little risky on the 40's part because the 35 had 2 left sides down on the apron. And look at Graham Boland going to go 3 wide into 3 for that position. Oh, Butler thought about pinching him down. I want to give a little bit more room than that here. So far, they've been able to keep it together up at the front. Blake McCandless right there on that inside line. And then you've got Derek Justice in the 31 right now riding in the 10th position, trying to find a lane. Jose Solis Jr. right there as well in the 75. Shane Theron not too far behind this, along with Philip Krause. You got quite a number of your playoff contenders at this point in time as far as up there in the standings, running up inside of the top 15. Battle is on for the lead. Femiola didn't take very long after getting second place for him to get up there and easily makes the pass on Spencer Burns for the top position. Femiola will go to the race lead. I seem to remember Femiola actually participating in a previous race. Maybe not. I don't see him on the driver's list. Name looked familiar for some reason. And now he's going to start checking out pretty quickly. Jump back here. The battle continues on. 4th place on back. Blake Reynolds is now falling into the clutches of Graham Boland. You can see that just a little bit from the center off, that outside line is getting a little bit of a run on the straightaway. Blake Reynolds for the moment able to hold off the 18. And he will actually tuck down in front of him going into turn 3. Boland's not going to be denied, though. He's going to make a pretty late move there out of 4. Gets to the inside of Blake Reynolds, drives it in deep, tries to pin it down to that white line. He may have the 29 cleared off this corner. Ooh. But for a moment, the 35 of Sean Butler was going to slide up into the door of Brian Mercurio. And ooh, McCandless. I don't know if he was trying to cross over the 18 or if he was just trying to tuck down in front of the 35. But that was a pretty aggressive move right there. So as this is going on, Brandon McKissick has been able to clear for 3rd. Now he is reeling in Spencer Burns for what would be 2nd place. But this is all going on right now about 6/10 back behind race leader Femiola, who right now is probably the only guy in the field that doesn't want to see a caution come out. Also, let's bear in mind, too, as I mentioned, the fuel window for these drivers is about 60 to 65 laps. So all these drivers are shooting for somewhere around lap 38, maybe lap 40, knowing that if they then come to pit road, they would be good to go on fuel. But as I stated earlier, Atlanta's not as much about fuel, it's about tires. So these drivers, I don't know if necessarily they'd be willing to stay out there on 60-lap tires in order to try and make it the rest of the way. I mean, gracious, you think about just how slick it's got to be on sticker tires. Imagine what it's got to be like out there on tires that you've run for 60 laps. Just to show as well how abrasive this track is, if you take a look at the fastest lap time laid down in this race so far, and that is Femiola with a 30.928. His last time by was almost a 30.5. That is a 0.6 of a second difference. We've only run 11 laps and already 0.6 of a second have been chipped away from his fastest lap. So already a little more than 10 laps in, you can clearly see, based off the lap times, just how this track eats the tires and takes away the speed. This battle continues to be just inside the top 5. Blake Reynolds starting to drift back, started 3rd, now in 5th and in danger of losing that. Sean Butler going to go to the inside for that position. Going to make the pass easily. Blake Reynolds may have actually just given him the spot. Looks like right now Blake's car is not that good don't know if it's just based off the long run or what, or if he's just waiting for those tires to maybe start wearing. I don't know if he might be saving a little bit here. It just doesn't look like that car's quite got the speed or the handling he wants, and he is continuing to drift back as now Blake McCandless going to challenge him for 6th. Couple of names running towards the back of the pack that I found a little bit interesting. Michael Cozy Jr. started from the 31st position. Last week's winner at Phoenix has only worked his way up to 25th so far. Right behind him, you've got Cosman Oinosu, and he's only in the 26th position. This is the guy that actually comes into this race just outside of the playoff grid. 12th in the standings, but because Kane Cook's still in the top 25 in points with a win, Cosman's the first man out. So if the 0-3 falls outside the top 25 in points after today's race, Cosman could find himself up there in the playoffs. But right now, riding outside the top 25. And another driver that's also starting to work his way up there, he's right now in the 20th position, is Bronson Stafford, who comes into this race currently 6th in the point standings. Another driver that's also not been mentioned yet today, he's back in 31st, and that's Michael Frisch in the 58th. Frisch is 5th in points coming into this race. And also another driver back there too is Jake Poulin. He's a little bit ahead in 24th. That's 3rd in points. Right now, a lot of our guys that are up there in the standings not running as well here today, at least early on. But again, it's a long race, so anything can still happen. You saw right there, Poulin up there right against the outside wall, kind of running that Larson line. So we may see more drivers venture up there. Move back up to the front. We've got a battle brewing for 3rd. Brandon McKissick has reeled in Graham Bolin. And this is only going on maybe about 2 car lengths behind 2nd place Spencer Burns. This could be a 3-way fight for the 2nd spot. Ford, a Toyota, and a Chevy all battling for 2nd place. And at the same time, it was looking like Femi Olot was really pulling away. But now he's only a little less than, well, only about 3.5 tenths ahead of 2nd place. I don't know if necessarily he might have used up quite a bit of his stuff trying to get up there and take the race lead. Either that or he's in conservation mode right now, just trying to manage the gap between himself and Spencer Burns. But that 0-6 looked really good. They're out of 2, going to get some good straightaway speed. I have a feeling that we may have a battle for the lead here, maybe between 4 different drivers, the 099, 06, 18, and 36 in mere moments. Riding on board there with Spencer Burns. Let's see what the difference is of the lanes that the 2 of them take. You can see enters in maybe a half groove higher, drives it down deep a little bit earlier. Oh, you can clearly see in the center of the corner that Femi Olot's back end wants to kick out. See if it happens again here. Watch carefully. And you can see right there. I know that some of that might be based on the way that the car is skewed, but I know that also you can definitely tell that the rear end tires are sliding. And now Spencer Burns has to weigh his options. Where does he go? Does he try making the move here on a straightaway? Does he try a different line in the corners? Maybe able to make the move down here in turn 3. Got a good run. Looks low. Not quite to the left rear quarter panel. Rotate it nicely. Rolled through the center. Gets a good exit off of the corner. And I think it's going to be the left rear going down here to turn 1, but that also brings Graham Bolin into this mix. And I believe not too far behind him, you've also got Brandon McKissick, who's got a pretty good view of this. Femi Olot drifts up the track. Burns to the inside, tries to get a little side draft. I believe will clear for the lead going into turn 3. Question is, will he bring Graham Bolin along with him? And all 3 of these drivers, your top 3 right now, all had to qualify their way into this race. They were not locked in. This is, regardless of the fact of whether any of them win this race or not, this is certainly a great performance from them early on, showing that they can race in this league. And they can race at the front. Brandon McKissick now side by side with Olat for third. So just like that, in a matter of about a lap and a half, Femi Olat goes from the lead back to fourth. And Spencer Burns, who qualified on the pole, back out in front. But now Graham Boland's got something to maybe say about this race leaves. As a matter of fact, Graham Boland, when all of the drivers that had to qualify their way in came in for their 10 minutes of practice, it was Graham Boland who went to the top of the board, knocking Jose Solis Jr. off of the top, who had been up there for the majority of practice. All right, it's drifting back right now is Blake McCandless. He was working his way up towards the front, but now he's been kind of put up on that outside line. He's lost a spot to Brian Mercurio, and he's about to lose a spot to Derek Justice, so the 66 is about to fall back to the 8th position. And a driver that's slowly working his way up is Philip Kraus, and I was watching Philip in practice, and he was out there for a lot of runs, a lot of laps, practicing green flag runs, and so no surprise to be seeing him now as we've gone 24 laps into this race, starting to work his way to the front. I think he may have figured something out as far as tire conservation goes. Looking here at Shane Theron, this is a battle for around the 11th position between himself and Sean Butler. Jose Solis Jr. right there, as well as David Shieldhouse. Solis Jr. getting the wall, you can see right there. You saw the sparks coming off of the right rear flare. I don't think he hit it hard enough to cause any damage, but he definitely did hit it. And we're starting to enter into that area now, too, where we could see drivers not only venture up to that outside line and maybe brush the wall, but also, think they have the grip necessary to go into a corner, not have it, and slide up into the wall. And Theron coming into this race in the playoffs, currently 8th. David Shieldhouse currently in 4th. Now both of them running just inside of the top 15. As up front, Spencer Burns has been able to kind of maintain about a Carlington half gap. Back to Graham Boland. About the same distance back to McKissick, and about the same distance back to Blake Reynolds, who all of a sudden, I think he was saving. I was wondering about him falling back the way he was, but I think he might have been saving a little. Woo! A little squirrely there off turn 2. But he's been able to get by Femi Olat and now is up into the 4th position. And our first caution of the day is going to come out on lap 27. This does not put them within the fuel window. Let's just bear that in mind. And we had a couple of cars involved. I believe one of them might have been the 000 and the other one might have been the 086. That's Dylan Barr in the 000 and Rich Jameson in the 086, both of whom I believe are making their first starts of the season. So caution comes out. There's no doubt in my mind everybody's going to be on pit road. Well, with being out there 27 laps, now 28 laps. It looks like this incident may have very well taken place off of turn number 2. And I don't actually think the 086 was involved. It did start, however, with the 000 of Dylan Barr, and let's see what happens to him. Just drifted up the track too much. Spins right in front of Tyler Claybaugh, and I don't know if anybody hits him. Let's see. Gets the car straightened out and keeps it going. Wow, that's a great save. The reason I thought the 086 was involved was because he actually slowed down to avoid hitting the 000, but that was an amazing save on the part of Dylan Barr. That slide, however, in the back straightaway puts us under the caution for the first time today. And now makes things very interesting, because let's speculate that maybe, just maybe, we go green the rest of the way. Based off of what I heard, these drivers can go just about 60 laps, maybe 65 if they save. And when we go back racing, we're going to be somewhere around 66, 67, 68 laps to go. No driver wants to be out there that long on tires, I'm pretty certain, but don't know. Jose Solis Jr. actually stayed out a lap, got himself a bonus point. Solis Jr. comes into this race right now 16th in the point standings, so not currently in a playoff spot. Every point counts during the course of the season. And so it looks like we are going to be going green this time. They double up. Spencer Burns will be the leader on the inside line, is the choice that he makes. That puts Graham Bolin on the outside. Brandon McKissick, Blake Reynolds going to be the top four. Derek Justice 5th. Blake McCandless 6th. Brian Mercurio, Philip Kraus, Femi Olat, and Dylan Alt is going to be your top 10. So we had our initial start of the race, double file. Everybody got through the first lap cleanly, and it only took up to 27 laps before we had our first caution, and really that wasn't even a wreck, that was just a spin. I don't think that the 000 made any contact with Tyler Claybaugh or Cody Atkins, who were the two that were just behind him. I think that really was just a single car spin, so very impressive we went this far and we really didn't have a wreck. Now let's see what happens, that they've been able to be out there for 25, 27 laps, somewhere in that range before that first caution. Let's see how aggressive they're going to be now. With 4 fresh tires underneath them, green flag back in the air. Spencer Burns was on it. He's going to drive away from a side-by-side battle for second between McKissick and Bolin. And we're going to use this camera again, coming through turn 2, down the back straightaway to turn 3, make sure they all get through it safely. Saw a couple of cars mid-pack to the rear of the field that looked a little loose coming off the corner, but it looks like everybody's going to give each other the room necessary. Be able to at least maybe make it around here. Bolin got a great run off of 4. Look at Blake McCandless splitting it down to the bottom, going 3 wide. Putting it to the inside of Derek Justice and Blake Reynolds, and he's going to make it stick through 1 and 2. Ooh, Blake Reynolds couldn't tell if he may have brushed the wall a little bit there, coming off of turn 2 onto the back straightaway. I didn't see sparks, but that car definitely wiggled. But now he literally chops the nose off of Philip Kraus on that outside line. Justice is actually going to be the benefactor from that 3-wide situation. He moves into 4th place now, behind McKissick, Bolin, and race leader Spencer Burns. Canless now going to try to the inside of Reynolds. That's a Blake versus Blake for the 5th position. Behind them, you got a good battle going on between Philip Kraus and Brian Mercurio. Femi Olat, who was really good at the initial start of this race on new tires, going to try and see what he can do here. Currently in that 9th position. Up at the front, though, they're going to go almost 3 wide. They were looking. They didn't do it, but boy, they were looking. As Derek Justice now makes a look to the inside of McKissick, who cuts him off. Derek Justice, of course, trying to become a 3-time winner of the season in only the first 5 races of the year. And the only other former winner in the field right now is Michael Cozy Jr. in the 99, who is currently in the 19th position. So the odds of another first-time winner this season, they're definitely high, but you've got Derek Justice right now looming in the top 5. So when we went back green, it was on lap 29. That means we went back green with about 69 laps to go. And when I talked to some of the drivers, they said that sitting on pit lane with a full tank of fuel, it was saying projected 60 laps. Is there 9 laps of fuel available to save if we do go green the rest of the way? And another thing that I was thinking about too, you know, if we do go green the remainder of this race, I mean, we saw as I stated earlier on that first green flag run, we're 3 wide back there, by the way. Holy cow. Semiola, Blake McCandless, and Blake Reynolds for 5th place. Ooh, 0.99 got a little loose there, a little tight actually in the center, started sliding up the track, but, you know, do you think about the fact of trying to go the rest of the way? Obviously, you're going to be out there on over 60 lap tires, so you can't be turning really fast lap times. Do your short pit. Come to pit road, get fresh rubber, go out there and lay down lap times, because the difference between fresh tires and 10-lap old tires, and that may have just taken it all out the window. Well, all that speculating for nothing. Second caution of the day is out. I was going to say there's about 5/6 difference between a fresh set of tires and 10-lap old tires, as it looks like Jordan Harnish brings out this caution. Ryan Naraki in the grass as well. Looks like this could very well have been an incident out of turn 4. Go back and see what happened. Jordan Harnish, another driver, to my knowledge, making his first start. Some other drivers were collected up in this as well, including Justin Malello in the 53. And I believe this was a solo car spin that collected up other drivers. We're going to focus first on the 4 of Jordan Harnish. Was coming out of turn 4. He's all by himself. Nobody around him. You can see the rear tires starting to come out from underneath him. Oh, nope. There was something further up here. That looked like Cody Atkins and Ryan Naraki that got together, and then the 4 of Harnish had nowhere to go. So let's look a little bit further up and see what happened to actually initially start the contact. Actually might have been the 0-2 that caused this yellow. No, it was not. Everybody fanned out. I'm trying to figure out who they fanned out for. Was it the 53 perhaps? Nope, there was someone further up. Somebody further up that they all were fanning out to avoid. I'm not certain who it was. Oh, here it was. So it was a wreck that didn't take place, and then everybody checked up when everybody else checked up. We're going to look here back around Tyler Clayball in the 42. That's Michael Frisch just ahead of him, and you can see right there, Kevin McAdams on the left side of your screen gets bumped by Cosman. And then further back is where the wrecking took place. Ryan Naraki came down into Cody Atkins. Justin Malello got a piece of it there in the 53. So let's actually go back and see what happened to McAdams, because he was the reason that that punt took place. He got a help from Cosman Ayanosu. If you could find the 26 here real quick. He, I believe, got sent down pit road. Don't think he hit anything. But more importantly, as far as McAdams is concerned, that is a driver that came into this race inside of the playoff grid. And for some reason, I cannot find McAdams on my leaderboard. There he is. He's got rear end damage. There's no doubt he got punted. We'll see if we can figure out what led to him getting punted down pit road. Well, here it is. He's already had the contact from Cosman. There's another car going through the grass there. Ooh, the 26 actually got some air going over the short track area there on the front stretch. But another car was actually down there in the grass as well, and that was Michael Cozy Jr. in the 99. See if we can find out what happened to him. He did not spin, but he definitely went through the infield. Oh, I don't know if he got help or not. Boy, there was a lot of drivers had issues at that point off of 4. Someone get the wall and everybody just basically went to the grass? Only car looked like they were up the track there at that point. Might have been the 61 of Bronson Stafford. Boy, that was That was interesting. A lot of drivers really seemed to get loose on that inside line coming off of turn 4. And a lot of it was in reaction to other stuff going on, but boy, that was rather bizarre. About 6-7 drivers that all seemed to get loose there down the bottom coming off of turn 4. But we're getting ready to go back green. Spencer Burns, the race leader still. Graham Bolin again to his outside with McKissick, Reynolds, and Justice. That's going to be your top 5. David Shieldhouse was just on pit road. He's still on the lead lap, but he will restart in 42nd. Shane Theron in the 38 was also on pit lane. So, remember I said these drivers, they were shooting for just about somewhere around laps 38 to 40. My guess is that maybe Theron and McAdams, or I'm sorry, not McAdams, David Shieldhouse may have come to pit road to top off. The green flag's going to come back out here with, if my calculations are correct, 56 laps to go. Still a long ways to go, but we are now within the fuel window for these drivers to make it the rest of the way on fuel, bar another caution. Ooh, we may end up having a black flag there. 18 pulled down to the inside line before the start-finish line. I'm pretty sure FTF has a rule you cannot lane change before the start-finish line. So we may end up seeing the 18 have to drop, maybe come to pit road. We'll see what the call is there. They make their way down the back straightaway. Did a good job here on the initial start as well as the restarts of giving each other enough room to be able to traverse their way safely around for the first lap, because with very low grip, cold tires, these cars have got to be super loose on restarts. 18 is still out on the track. I don't know if he's been called to pit road or not. I kind of felt that that was a lane change. But we'll see. He's going for the lead, though. Gonna get halfway there. Can he clear Spencer Burns off of turn 4? He's gonna try and slide up. I don't think he's clear. If these two continue to race side by side, that's gonna bring Derek Justice and Brandon McKissick, who are side by side for third up here into this battle. Like Reynolds right now holding on to 5th. He's got Blake McCandless behind him again, so it's a Blake versus Blake for 5th again. It's like a broken record from the last restart. And I should mention too, we saw him go through the grass, but Michael Cozy Jr. has worked his way up to 11th place. So our 2 former winners are now inside the top 15. Justice with a nice run there down the front stretch. Not only cleared McKissick for 3rd, but now easily takes 2nd place and sets his sights on the number 18 of Graham Bolin. Well, I guess that the 18, the move he made was clean, as he still remains out there. Guy making moves back there just outside the top 5 is Femiola, the other Interstate Batteries Supra. I'm sorry, yeah, it is a Supra. Forgot that this is the Xfinity mod, not the Cup mod, and we have a caution. What's the old saying? Cautions breed cautions. We had 27 laps before we hit our first caution. We've now run 20 laps and have 2 more to add to our total. And this one appears to have involved possibly the 8 of Jordan Taylor in the Arby's Ford Mustang. Might also have been something to do with the 76. Oh, he's got some damage. That's Matthew Brinson in the 76 machine. A lot of damage on the front and the rear. Looks like that car may have backed into the outside wall. I don't think he got involved in an earlier wreck, so it may very well have been him that brought the yellow flag out. And it looks like that's the case. Oh my goodness, we've had an airborne car. This was on the front straightaway. And he got some help from the 000, and look at that. Up and over goes the car. Didn't completely go over, but he did go airborne. And I don't know if he necessarily might have hit where the safer barrier begins. The safer barrier that starts over in turn 1 kind of juts out just a little bit, and I'm not certain that he might not have hit that. We're going to take another look here from another camera angle. Dylan Barr in the 000, and it's hard to tell. It looks like the 76 just thought he was clear. And he goes up and rides the wall. That car never did go completely over. It was up on the driver's side, but I think that still would classify as airborne. All 4 tires were off the racing surface. That's another thing about Atlanta as well, is these drivers carry so much speed into the corners and on the straightaway. They top out around 185, 186 by the time they get to either turns 1 or 3. And with fast speeds come pretty high voltage wrecks, as we were clearly able to see right there. And it looks like some drivers decided to stay out. A majority of the field came to pit road. 4 drivers did not pit. Leader Graham Boland, Spencer Burns, Femi Olot, and Shane Theron, who had pitted with 1 to go on the last restart. So he's now up in 4th. Derek Justice won the battle off pit road, so he will restart 5th with Blake Reynolds, Brandon McKissick, Philip Kraus, Blake McCandless, and Brian Mercurio, your top 10. So this is going to be fun to try and figure out the difference between new tires and old tires. I was wondering, based off timing of yellow flags, if we were going to get to see that. And now we'll be able to kind of have a little bit of a case study, especially if we get a late race yellow, of drivers having to choose. Do they keep their track position and stay out on older tires, or do they come to pit road and gain those 5 to 6 extra tenths of speed that they can get with fresh Goodyears? Highest running with fresh tires is the 31, starting 5th, Derek Justice. So let's see how quick work he's going to be able to make with these guys. Boland, Burns, and Olot have been out on 10-lap old tires. Shane Theron on 9-lap old tires. So we will see what the difference is. And remember, it was around lap 10, lap 11, we started to see the 5 tenths lower speeds out of then race leader Femi Olot. So this will be interesting to see just how quickly Derek Justice can move his way up to the front. Green flag's going to come back out this time with 48 laps to go. Saw a little bit of wheel spin there out of Femi Olot as Boland's going to get us back underway. I see a lot of drivers jostling here, trying to pass each other. Shane Theron realizing he's on older tires. I think he moved up the track on purpose, getting out of people's way, knowing they have fresh rubber behind him. Derek Justice going to work. He's already up to the 3rd position, passing Spencer Burns. Ooh. Definitely had to have known where his car was. That was a little tight there. I didn't know if he quite had the 06 cleared, but he knew he did. And now he sets his sights on the 2 Interstate Battery Supras. Running 1st and 2nd, Boland and Olot, as McKissick now trying to get around Burns for 4th. Looking in terms of lap times right now, and Derek Justice running about 3/100ths faster than the top 2. Not a whole lot of difference right now, but if we go longer into a run, you'll definitely see how those 10-lap fresher tires are going to play into the favor of the Baskin-Robbins Supra. As we're watching this up front, most drivers single file right now. A couple of other guys that are just outside the top 10. We talked about Michael Cozy Jr. in 11th. How about Justin Knobloch? Currently running in the 12th position. There's Joey Bailey in 13th. So a couple of guys here that are just outside the top 10 looking in. Another driver that had to race his way in through knockout Q, Evan Rice, right now in the 15th position. And he's battling currently with the 84, who I thought was on the lead lap. But I don't know. Thought the 84 car was on the lead lap, but maybe he isn't. Derek Justice has gone around the outside of Femi Olat. For second place, let's see if that outside line with the fresh rubber is going to help him. Look at McKissick's going to try and stick Justice up 3 wide on the top side. Justice is going to clear for second place, though, as McKissick now goes to the inside of Olat for third. Still trying to figure out as far as the 84, and actually the 84 is not the 84. That's why I had a little bit of an issue. The 84 is actually the 46 of Jacob Fisher. I don't know why it's showing up as an 84 car, because the 84 is Cosmin Isinosu's car, is the car number. This is actually the 46 we're looking at, Jacob Fisher, who is on the lead lap in the 16th position, so that's why I was confused, because it was the wrong number. Boy, Derek Justice right up on the back bumper of Boland, letting him know he is there, and meanwhile he's got McKissick looking to his inside. Justice says, all right, I guess I got to go to this second groove to try and get around the 18, who pushes up the track a little bit going into turn 1. They almost banged doors just the least little bit, and McKissick had to back out, thinking they probably were both going to wreck, and look at Blake Reynolds with a big run in the 29. He's going to go for third place on McKissick. Just to update at this point, all the drivers that took the green, 41 are still running and all still on the lead lap. Matthew Britt, oh, we got a spinner! That's the 099. And no caution. Femi Olat spinning through the grass in the infield, and now the caution is thrown. Doesn't look like that car hit anything either. But surprising it took that long for a caution to be thrown. He was battling at the time for around the 5th position. And Derek Justice did get the lead from Graham Boland. McKissick got by for second when all that was going down just past the start-finish line. A couple of drivers that'll be very happy for this caution coming out would be the 18, as well as the 06 and the 38. All of them were out there on older tires. Go back and see what happened here. It was hard to tell from live action which car it was that hooked the 099 around. But it definitely was up inside of the top 5 that this incident happened, and I don't think the 099 hit anything. He caught some air, though. It was Blake McCandless that got him. Take a look at this coming off of 4. And it just kind of, that's the one difficult thing about these D-shaped front straightaways. It's hard to tell if the 099 came down or if the 66 came up. Definitely see that the 099 caught air there when his car caught the grass to asphalt transition, but you can see he did not hit the inside wall. And maybe the best way to be able to figure out just exactly whose fault it was, or if it was nobody's fault, maybe it was just two drivers with intersecting lanes on that crooked front straightaway. We're going to go to our helicopter cam and see if it can give us a better idea. Watch this coming off of 4. McCandless already looking low. Remember the 099's on older tires. Little contact there, and I mean, McCandless was already down there on the white line. If he went any lower, he was going to have tires in the grass, and it looks like the 099 may have come down and tried to block him. But again, it's just so difficult when you go to these D-shaped 1.5 miles with the way that that front straightaway has that D-shaped. Different drivers have different ways of how they approach it, and sometimes everybody wants the same amount of real estate. Got a driver staying out to lead a lap. He will probably pit this next time by, potentially. That is John Dragonetti in the 80 car. And he actually does not come to pit road. Is he going to actually try and gain track position here by staying out? Dragonetti has made 2 starts this... I'm sorry, no, only 1 start this season. That was back at Auto Club. Finished that race 18 laps down in the 33rd position. They'll have one more opportunity to come to pit road here as Pits will be open one more time. We would get the 1 to green signal. Derek Justice and everybody else was on pit road. Justice came off pit lane, still as the race leader, or at least came out first. He's currently running in second. Brandon McKissick right now would be third. This is all speculation that the 80 car does not pit. Blake Reynolds lines up fourth. Philip Kraus fifth. Blake McCandless in sixth. Spencer Burns 7th, 8th Michael Cozy Jr., Justin Knobloch 9th, and Brian Mercurio right now would be 10th. Looks like they did get the 099 back out there. He's still in the lead lap. He's going to restart, it looks like, around the 38th position. Still leaves us with 41 cars still on the lead lap, and look at this. Dragonetti not only comes to pit road, but Blake Reynolds. Well, nope, he faked me out. Good thing I wasn't on track. I would have come to pit road thinking the 29 was coming to pit lane. But now everybody that I stated, move them up a spot, and Evan Rice now will move into the 10th position with Dragonetti coming to pit road. So now fuel is all out the window. We're not even going to concentrate on fuel anymore because these drivers are good to go on fuel now. Projected 60 laps, and we are going to be getting this restart with 36 laps to go. So now it really is all about tires, and definitely going to be all about late race cautions, late race restarts, and the strategy and the thought process these drivers are going to have to go through in terms of which is more important, the track position or the fresh rubber. Justice, who is looking for his 3rd win of the season, be his 3rd win in 4 starts this year, and he almost made it 3 in a row last week. Let's point out he just barely came up short to Michael Cozy Jr. He finished 2nd, less than 2/10 back, so he was very close to a bid for 3 in a row last week. Maybe looking for a little bit of redemption here today, as he's going to lead us down to the green. Brandon McKissick lining up there in 2nd. And Justice, you can see even Justice maybe had a little bit of trouble there spinning the tires, as we are back green in Atlanta. We're going to go to our panorama cam coming out of turn 2 again. Make sure everybody makes it through, because I'm expecting to see some 3 wide down the back straightaway now as we get closer and closer to the end of this race. They are 3 wide back there. That's Bronson Stafford making some moves. Got some damage there on the back of his Toyota Supra. Trying to make a move on Kevin McAdams, who got a little bit of a punt off turn 4 by the car that's right behind him, Cosmin Izanosu. Now they are running in 15th and 16th behind Bronson Stafford, who right now is in the 14th position. Derek Justice starting to pull away. The best battle right now is for around the 3rd position. That's where Brandon McKissick and Philip Kraus are battling it out. Spencer Burns right there, along with Blake McCandless as well. And now I think this is the point of the race, too, where we're going to see nobody doing any type of tire conservation. It is go time. Everybody's all clumped together. You want to pick up as many spots as you possibly can while everybody is in close proximity. And I think we're going to see maybe another caution or 2 in the closing stages of this race as well. So these drivers, they're going to be driving these tires for all they're worth. As McKissick gets a good run on Blake Reynolds, he'll look to the inside for 2nd. Spencer Burns now making the completion of the pass for 4th place on Philip Kraus, who's still stuck on that outside line, now has Blake McCandless to his inside. And I've not seen anybody here up at the front anyway that has ventured up any higher than the 2nd lane. Nobody's tried that extreme outside line. So I think that for the most part we can kind of write off that lane as a passing lane now, especially with the few number of laps we have left to go. And I'm pretty sure I saw on the back straight off turn 2, I'm pretty sure Spencer Burns may have brushed the wall a little bit there. I only saw a little bit of sparks, so I don't think there's any real damage to the car. As McKissick tries to clear Reynolds coming off of 2. I think he might have him. Now he's going to have to set his sights on Derek Justice, who has opened up the gap by about 7/10 of a second. And McKissick run him down. As now Blake Reynolds is kind of getting freight trained on that outside line. Lost third to Burns. He lost fourth to McCandless. Now he's under fire for fifth place by Philip Kraus. And there's Michael Cozy Jr., last week's winner from Phoenix. He's now up to the 7th position and continuing to work his way forward. Well, we've got the opportunity to look back at a couple of other guys making their first starts and running pretty well. Adam Baker right now in the 87, currently in 16th place. Bobby Rafferty, he was inside there in the 7 cars. There's actually a battle between those two for 16th. Spencer Prita in the 37, right now in the 20th position. And a driver that has really fallen back right now is Graham Bolin, who was up there at the front early on in this thing. Remember, he, of course, had to come to pit road and get fresh tires after that last caution. He's mired back here right now in 22nd. Shane Theron, who also had to pit for tires, is currently back here in 26th. And Femi Olot, who, of course, brought out that latest yellow flag, currently back in 26th. So those guys have a long ways to go, as someone just got the ball back there. That might have been David Shieldhouse in the 20. Gaps maintained, still a little less than 0.7 of a second between Derek Justice and Brandon McKissick. McKissick, for the moment, can maybe concentrate more out the windshield than in the rearview mirrors. He's got about 2.5 car lengths. Well, now it closes up to about 2 car lengths between himself and Spencer Burns. Looking in terms of the lap times, though, Derek Justice is just a tick quicker, about 5/100ths faster that last lap than the 36. So I know Derek Justice would love to have this race go green to the end, and this is very similar to what Derek Justice did back at Rockingham. We didn't really mention his name a whole lot in that race, and he was able to work his way up there to the front. Actually, no, I'm thinking of the wrong race. I'm actually thinking of Auto Club, where he started that race from the 25th position and worked his way up there to the front. And so he's kind of done the same thing here today. We've talked about him, you know, first in the top 10 and then the top 5, but now he's worked his way up to the race lead, and this is very similar to what he did 2 weeks ago at Auto Club. But if we get ourselves some late race yellows, interesting to see if Derek Justice decides to stay out or if he decides to come pit road, as right now these drivers have been out there for 13 laps on these tires. Pretty impressive here today. We documented about the abrasiveness of Atlanta on tires. And yes, we've had 3 cautions, but out of the 43 drivers that started this race, 41 are still running. 40 of them on the lead lap. Dragonetti currently is the only car 1 lap down. I mean, that's pretty impressive for this big of a field at a track this difficult and this slick, that we've got that many cars that are still running and still on the lead lap. Especially when we've got about 6-7 drivers in this field that are making their debuts here this season. That last time by, McKissick was faster. And this time by a little bit slower. About the same lap times actually that time. A 31.756 for Justice, 31.757, 1/1000th slower for McKissick. Spencer Burns third, McCandless fourth, Rouse in fifth. Got a battle maybe here brewing though for that 5th position. Michael Cozy Jr. right there. For the most part up here, at least in the top 10, things are relatively single file. You want to find a real close battle, you got to go back here where they're racing it up double and 3 wide. Bronson Stafford's in this mix, Jacob Fisher, Michael Frisch, Cosmin Ishinoshu. Graham Bolin right there as well in the 18, trying to work his way back up to the front. Oh, I believe the 61's in the wall. He is. Bronson Stafford. And he was in that wall quite a bit down the back straightaway. And now losing ground as that car lost several miles per hour, just kind of hugged into the wall. All the way down the back stretch, you can see the damage. It's got pretty significant damage to the right front now, and that's just going to make that car be even tighter in the corner. And caution is out. That is not what Derek Justice wanted to see, I guarantee you. These guys were out there for 17 laps. And I think you're going to see everybody duck to pit road because we'll be getting a restart somewhere in the little bit less than 20 laps to go. Driver that brought out the caution may have been, yeah, a couple of cars involved. 086 of Rich Jameson, that was Jordan Harnish in the 4 just up ahead of him. Like something off of turn 2. Dane Theron's back here. I don't know if he got collected up in it or not. Andy Margot with some damage on the 48 car, and a car that was actually back there was Bronson Stafford. I don't know if he's pitting for a regularly scheduled stop here. I don't know if pits were open or not, but he actually might have been the one that might have brought out the caution. Let's go back and see. No, he was falling back. The car was not handling to his liking. Nope, he did not bring out the caution. Actually, the caution started with Kevin McAdams, I believe. Second incident he's been involved in. Oh, and there's what happens. It actually begins, the wreck starts with the 42 of Tyler Claybaugh. Looks like he got some help from Evan Rice in the 088. Was coming off of turn 2. 2 of them were actually making a little bit of contact going into turn 1, so we'll go back to there. Almost a little bit of a bump from the 42 to the 088 right there, saying, hey, get out of my way. And then coming off the corner, it's hard to tell from that angle if the 088 came down or if the 42 came up, and there you see Kevin McAdams gets involved as well. And then let's see what happens here, because then we see that the 4 and the 086 get into the mix as well. I don't know if they had their own little incident that came down into the 26 or not. Yeah, they actually did. We had 2 incidents take place off of turn 2. Here's the second one. Right there, Jameson gets into the left rear quarter panel of Harnish, and as McAdams is trying to get his car backed up away from the inside wall, he backs up into the 4, who's spinning. So we had 2 different wrecks take place off the same corner, and they all ended up in just about the same area where they ended. And as I expected, everybody came to pit road. So Derek Justice will still be the leader, but everybody's going to have fresh rubber underneath them. And they will get this restart, it looks like, with somewhere around 17 laps to go, maybe 18 laps to go, depending on if the lights go out atop the pace car this time. So the question is this going to be the shootout to the finish, or have we seen our last yellow? Something tells me we have not. Like we've got a couple of drivers that have now gone behind the wall after what we just saw take place. Kevin McAdams, I believe, has retired out of the race. Tyler Claybaugh as well, who we saw pound the outside wall coming off of 2. It looks like Bronson Stafford is also retired out of the race. So just like that, we're now down to 38 cars running in this race. All 38 on the lead lap. John Dragonetti was the recipient of the lucky dog, so he will be back on the lead lap. And we'll see if the lights go out atop the pace car this time. They look like they did.
Yes,
they did. So we are going to be going back green with a total of 18 laps to go. Nope, actually correct my facts. 17 laps to go. Well, Derek Justice back at Auto Club. We mentioned about the fact that he started that race in 25th, worked his way to the front, and then there were quite a number of late race cautions, but he was definitely on it on those restarts and was able to pull away. So we'll see if we're going to have that deja vu here at Atlanta, but McKissick was slowly chipping into his race lead. We know that Spencer Burns has good run on the short run speed. Blake McCandless has been making some good moves. Philip Kraus has been working his way up there into the top 5. And of course, Michael Cozy Jr., who had to race his way into this event through Knockout Q, has a chance to maybe go back-to-back. That's your top 6. Jose Solis Jr., we haven't mentioned him really at all today. Saw him running most of this race outside of the top 10. He's in 7th, Justin Knobloch in 8th, Brian Mercurio in 9th, and Blake Reynolds right now completes the top 10. Derek Justice up through the gears, green flag back in the air, 17 laps to go here at Atlanta. Justice leads by about a car and a half, maybe 2 car lengths as Spencer Burns moves into 2nd. Blake Reynolds moves 3 wide, another car 4 wide back there. I believe that might have been Kyle Riley in the 62. That was back around just outside of the top 20. As Justice now by about 2/10 ahead of Spencer Burns, and we know that the 06 has got really good short run speed. We'll see if he can start reeling in. The 31 looks like visibly he is trying to get back to the throttle, carry more speed off of turn 2. 36 of McKissick got loose. That's going to open the door for Philip Kraus. He's going to go 3 wide for the 2nd position. Almost a little contact there between McKissick and Burns. And they're still 3 wide. That's now for the 4th position with Cozy, McCandless, and Burns again still on that outside line. Kraus now going to try and take 2nd from McKissick, and Derek Justice looking at his rearview mirror and saying, yeah, you guys go ahead and keep battling for 2nd place while I continue to pull ahead and grow my gap. McKissick finally going to clear via the outside line down the back straightaway for the 2nd position. Blake McCandless now trying to get that side draft on the door of the 91. Who got really loose there coming up the corner. I thought we were going to see him going through the infield grass. Heck of a save there by Kraus. And here comes the 18 of Graham Boland, who got mired back in traffic because he had to come to pit road for tires a couple of cautions ago. He's back up in the top 10 in the 6th position. Following in the tire tracks of fellow Supra, Philip Kraus is at the front, about half a second the distance between Derek Justice and Brandon McKissick. And I remember these two had some pretty good battles back at Rockingham. McKissick got caught up in a late race wreck, so we never really got to see the final chapter of that battle, but we'll see if McKissick might be able to rewrite a new story here at Atlanta, as he is slowly chipping away at Derek Justice's lead. I don't know if the fact that he and McCandless and Burns are all running single file, but maybe getting some toe and some draft down these straightaways to maybe start closing up on the 31, but even looking at the lap times, you can see that McKissick is just a little bit faster. Right now, the battle is going on side by side for the 5th position. Graham Boland trying to get by Philip Kraus for a spot in the top 5. Blake Reynolds waiting to see what happens there. 18 completes the pass on the 91, now moving into the top 5. We'll see if he's got something here for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, because it's going to be a long ways for him to have to catch the 31 of Derek Justice, who this next time around will see 10 laps to go. We've had 4 cautions so far in this race, but was the last one officially our last one, or will we see another yellow here in the closing stages of this event? This is the point of the race where drivers throw it in, hope that it sticks, make the aggressive moves, and a lot of times that can lead to mistakes and lead to those late race yellows and those late race restarts. For the moment, looks like McKissick is riding in that 2nd position, and you can see what was a half-second lead has now been cut down to about 3.5 tenths. They are reeling him in. I don't know if there's some kind of an alliance going on here. That's a Chevy, a Dodge, and a Ford at 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and then a Toyota behind them. So there's no manufacturer alliance, that's for sure. I think they're all realizing, though, if we're going to reel in that 31, we've got to work together. We got to stay single file and draft up to him, and they are doing exactly that. It's now exactly 0.3 of a second between McKissick and the race leader Derek Justice. And they've still got time. 8 laps to go this next time around. So now if you're Derek Justice, what do? That 36 gets a run on you. We've seen the outside line can work. Usually, though, the outside line works if it's your fresher tires against another driver's older tires. Seems like that inside line is where McKissick's going to have to make a move if he can get there. And he is now in the same shot coming out of turn 2 as Derek Justice in the 31. Closing in on 2/10 between himself and Derek Justice. McKissick coming into this race currently in the 27th position in points. If he were to win today, that would, my assumption, my calculations, put him up in the top 25 in the stands, which means that next week he wouldn't have to try and qualify his way into the Homestead Road Course race. He'd be locked in. And of course, as well, if he jumps up into the top 25 in points, he would potentially go into a playoff slot. Going to have about 6 laps to work with, about a car length and a half separation. That equals out to about a 10th and a half between himself and Derek Justice. And if these two start getting racy with each other, you got guys like Blake McCandless, Graham Boland, Spencer Burns, who could make this a 3, 4, 5-man fight for the win.
Look at Philip Kraus on that bottom side.
Kraus has been one of the guys all race long who's really been able to save his tires and been really good on the long run.
We're going to push it 3 wide.
That's Blake Reynolds going to go down there 3 wide. Blake's not afraid to throw it in there, no doubt about that. That's about the 3rd or 4th time we've seen him 3 wide in this race, and I think he may have just clipped the grass with the left sides.
I mean, again, there's 4 laps to go. It's go time.
Definitely the span of the race that we kind of dubbed Never Lift. Whatever happens, happens. Canvas has been able to make that, McKissick has been able to pull away from 3rd place, which is a battle now that just exchanged hands, actually. Graham Boland getting around Blake McCandless, so now it is mono-e-mono, the 31 and the 36 with 4 laps to go.
I don't know if he's just going to have enough time to get to him.
Question is, if he does get to him, what does he do with him? Because really the inside line seems to be the only choice. He's going to be able to make a pass.
We're in full-on move territory. There's no, I'm going to look for a safe way to pass. I mean, here's the thing. There's points in a playoff position on the line. So, I mean, you're not going to look for a kind way to pass. I mean, it's either, hey, I'm going to give you one shot, and that's your chance to pick your lane, or I'm going to move you.
I mean, think about what these drivers have at stake if you kind of weigh them both in the balance. Derek Justice already has 2 wins. He's pretty much a shoo-in to make it into the playoffs. He's out there now just trying to accumulate playoff points. McKissick, on the other hand, his agenda is twofold. Get himself a win to get himself into a playoff spot, plus make his way into the top 25, locking himself into next week's grid at the Homestead Road Course. But now we're starting to see the gap beginning to increase again. I wonder if Justice might have been saving a little bit there for when the 36 finally got to his bumper, because now the gap is beginning to increase with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, it's worth noting that Justice's last lap was a 32.044, when McKissick's was a 32.119. Definitely turning on the jets a little bit.
Yeah, the only other driver that ran a lap time in the 32.0s is 3rd place Graham Boland, but time has run out for him, currently in the 3rd position. He'd have to get around McKissick very quickly to have a shot at Derek Justice, who he is. Oh, caution!
And that changes everything.
Yes, it does. That came out just before Derek Justice was about to take the white. We're going into overtime, and Derek Justice right now has got to be saying, why? Why
I can tell you one man who is
then?
Screaming into his into his microphone has to be Derek Justice.
Well, here's the big thing. I don't think we've had anybody stay out on tires any older than 9 laps. 19 laps were run on that last green flag run. If you're Justice, do you stay out? Do you pit? If you're anybody else, do you stay out? This is a risky gamble here.
Let me tell you what I do if I'm 2nd place. I do whatever the leader doesn't.
Justice is looking like he's coming to pit road. And, he faked it. He faked it. He stayed out, and just about everybody else did as well, which is probably going to be good news for Justice, because at least it looks like maybe the top 10 behind him are all going to be on the same lap tires as he is.
Do you recall Jimmy Johnson? I think this is about 2008, 2009. I think we were getting into the thick of the chase. And Chad Canales made the call for him to come in for 4 fresh tires when the entire top 10 stayed out. Remember that man finished?
If I recall
He
correctly,
finished second.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So I don't know. Fresh tires could be king here.
We are going to wait and see what's going to happen. We're going to go back and actually see what brought the caution out. And I think may have been 5 car of Cody Atkins again. Well, see him getting into the wall here. He may not have actually brought the yellow flag out. Find out who it was. But whoever it was is probably not going to be on Derek Justice's Christmas card list, that's for sure.
I imagine that being a big phone call saying, "What in the world?"
Trying to see if we can pinpoint what the yellow came out for. I wanted to say it was the 5 because I saw him get into the wall in the back straightaway, but caution had already flown. Oh, I think I found it. It might have been the 086 of Rich Jameson.
So it looks like the first guy on new tires would be Justin Knobloch.
Question is, though, I mean, yeah, we may end up getting more green-white.
16th.
We may get more green-white checkers, you know, more overtimes, but is there going to be enough time for those 4 fresh tires to work their way up to the front? Because, I mean, a lot of drivers stayed out.
Well, you got to remember, unlimited green-white checkers. Get 1 or 2 of them, and hey, you're back in the thick of it.
Absolutely, and actually, it looks like caution may have come out for the 84, actually, of Cosmonition Oshu, and we'll see what happens to him. Yeah, he was in a bit of a tangle here. Look on the left side of your screen, you'll see the 19 of Joey Bailey come down. Looks like a little bit of net code there as Cosman got him in the left rear quarter panel. Comes down across the nose of Sean Butler. He keeps it going. Joey Bailey in the 19, I think, also was able to get it straightened out. It was a three-wide battle for, I think, around the 16th position at the time, and sets us up for what should be a very interesting restart. I mean, I saw Derek Justice on the last restart, and it was with fresh tires. It looked like he spun them. I can't imagine what this restart's going to be like for him with 20-lap old tires trying to get that thing fired up.
First thing that comes to my mind, when I touch that gas, it's going to turn into ice.
And what's going to be interesting here, too, is he's got a car that was keeping pace with him, but was mired back in 3rd place at the time in Graham Bolin, who's going to be restarting right behind him. So if the 18 can keep pace with the 31, that might be the biggest source of competition Derek Justice is going to have here in the closing stages. So it's actually Michael Cozy Jr. who is the highest with the freshest tires in 15th place. 14 cars he's going to have to pass here, but as you pointed out, this thing ain't over. We got multiple green-white checkers at our disposal if necessary. Green flag is out. Here we go. Will they make it back to the white?
Man, 36 of Brandon McKissick did not get the restart he wanted. Someone's in the wall already. That's Philip Kraus. Philip Kraus is getting turned.
Oh, he saved it. Holy cow. And
oh my God, they're all stacked up.
And there they go. Michael Frisch is around.
My. That was the entire back
we got a
of the
car
field.
in the air.
That was the entire back of the field.
No block is flying. I mean, be easier for you guys to pick out the car rather than us call it. I see Solis Jr. has got damage. I saw Jacob Fisher was involved. There's Justin Malello on the left side of your screen. That was a mess.
Boy, we could see that going wrong. But you you immediately think that's everyone who decided to take new tires as well.
Oh, you're right.
So
the
everyone's on old tires.
00 of Jake Poulin I saw was involved in that. It looked like the 4 of Jordan Harnish was involved. I mean,
So
It'd probably be
this
easier to
started.
name the drivers who weren't involved because that was about 5th place when the 91 snapped around.
Realistically, you need to go back to the start to really see this. Because it actually happened on the start. It looks like the 29.
Yeah,
Of
I
Blake
saw
Reynolds got to the
jump,
got to
looked like
the
up the middle
inside.
there when a couple of guys were spinning their tires.
Mm-hmm. And Philip Kraus looks like he got a little bit loose. He got hit maybe the left rear by the 29. He's trying to recover it. Scrapes the wall a little bit. He tries to come back down. He's working on saving the car. And the 099 of Femi Plot pops him in the breather, knocks him into the 41, and Brian did a great job of just backing off, saying, I don't want to turn you, I don't want to turn you. And Philip did a great job of saving that car, keeps it straight, but again, after he saved it, they're stacked up 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. And Philip at this time, he's still trying to get control of his car.
That was Dylan Alt, I believe, and Michael Frisch that technically got together trying to avoid the 91 who slid up the track. And boy, I'll tell you, we had a beautiful view of that wreck with the TV2 camera off of turn 2. You could just see the entire track completely get blockaded up.
I'd say go on board with number 94. I don't know how he got that high in the air.
If the camera survives.
Yeah.
Just a no block.
That thing just flew.
That's the second car that we've seen. Well, actually, no. That's the third car we've seen actually get airborne today. A couple of drivers have gotten airborne in the front straightaway. Take the onboard here. We'll take the roof cam with the 94 and see what he saw.
The cars just kept piling up. I mean, they blocked the entire track.
And it really shocks me too, because you kind of consider Atlanta's back straightaway. It seems somewhat spacious. There's a lot of runoff down there, but you're right. The whole track completely got blockaded.
The 94, it really was just a reactionary move from the 94 because he saw the 80. I think the 84 coming down at him. So he starts slowing down, tries to turn away, but at that point he gets hit. I think he got knocked in rear a little bit, and man, just straight into the inside wall. And he's already getting the assistance from behind, and that's what really knocks him into the air.
Looked like it might have been the 62 of Kyle Riley who popped the 94 up into the air here.
I mean, that car did an amazing job not just flipping over, but oh boy, that suspension is toast.
Yes, it is. I mean, I don't think we can even wager a guess of how many cars were involved in that one. But what we do know is that's going to kind of whittle the field down a pretty good bit of those that are going to be contenders now up here for this win. And one driver I noticed that actually got through all that mess was the 84 of Cosmin Snowshoe. I mean, he worked his way through. I don't think he got any damage. He's now up in the 10th position, so he was one of the few guys that did a great job of wreck avoidance there.
I mean, there's almost not a car out here without a scratch on it. The only one without a scratch was the 31 of Derek Justice.
He's going to be the one controlling the restart again. This time, the 18 of Graham Boland's going to have to be on his outside, so he's not going to have the benefit of going when the 31 goes. And I should point this out as well. Spencer Burns also got through that wreck. He was one of the first ones that came to pit road on that last caution. Came out, I think it was third of the drivers that had pitted. He's now up in 9th place, so depending on if we get some more cautions here, he may have a shot.
I mean, this is where it gets a bit sketch. I mean, he's got fresher tires, but they're cold. I mean, hopefully he's done a little bit of warming up. He's done a little bit of swerving, trying to get some heat on them, but I don't know if he's going to pass all these cars and, pull an upset.
Top 10 as we go back green yet again. Justice and Boland the front row. McKissick and Reynolds row 2. Row 3 finds Blake McCandless and Femi Olat. Then it's Brian Mercurio, Joey Bailey, Spencer Burns, and Cosmin Ishinoshi. They are the top 10 as we're going to try it once again for another green-white checkered. It's in the hands of Derek Justice. He's up through the gears. We're back green again.
Justice almost looked like he spun the tires in that restart, but one who definitely got a bad restart was McKissick.
the 18 of Bolin again ducked down before the start-finish line. I was questioning that before, but he never got called on it, so I guess that is a legal lean change. They are 4 wide back there. That's Andrew Schwartz down the inside.
Come on, let's just make it back to the white.
Can they make it? They've got one more corner to go. The leader has to hit the line before the caution comes out, and Bolin is right there with Justice. It's going to be a couple of Supras to maybe finish this out, but look at Blake Reynolds there as well.
You got to think, what is he going to do? He's almost on par or faster than him, but obviously you don't want to wreck the guy.
Justice pushed up a little bit there off of turn 2. Bolin trying to close the gap. He was within half a car length. What move does he make here in 3 and 4? Closes it deep. He's going to move him.
Gave him a shot, but it's just not enough.
Might be able to get back to the inside here off of 4. Not quite going to be able to do it. Justice hangs on. And Derek Justice, 3 for 5 on the season, takes the checkers here today in the slideways 150.
We're about sideways coming off that corner. So.
They were.
I mean, that wasn't for lack of trying. He definitely gave it all he had.
You called it, though. You said in order to pass him, you're probably going to have to move him. That's exactly the mentality that Bolin had right there. He hit him square. Justice was able to keep it straight. And Derek Justice, the playoff points just continue to pile up for the Baskin-Robbins Supra. His 3rd win of the season. And of course, we're going to get to see that that classic burnout where he backs up right against the outside wall on the start-finish line.
Wonder if he's going to try something new this week.
I doubt it.
Use a front bumper, mix it up a little bit.
Nope, he's going to back it right up there. The Derek
Man, looks like he would fail his parallel park test.
Well, fortunately for him, he's not getting the driver's license. He's already got that. He's going to victory lane to get a trophy.
Go on, put it down. There you go.
Derek Justice, 5 races this season, 3 wins, and I kind of, as I said, this kind of really seemed to be very similar to what he did at Auto Club, where we didn't really talk about him much the first half of the race. He just slowly would work his way up to the front, and then he controlled the late race restarts and never looked back. But no doubt about it, I think Auto Club was more of a cakewalk than this one was. This one he had to earn, as he nearly got wrecked in turn 3 off the nose of the 18 of Graham Bolin, but was able to hang on to it, and a tremendous job by Derek Justice here today. Take a look here at the full finish results, as Justice will bring that number 31 to victory lane. Derek Justice the win, Graham Bolin in 2nd, and we have our 3rd place finisher here with us, Blake Reynolds. And Blake, I mean, you got a front row seat of what went on there in the final stages. I mean, did you have any kind of strategy in place of where you needed to be if those two made contact, slid up the track, and opened the door for you?
Oh, well, I knew it was going to be hard just because we were on, like, super scuffed tires, had 2 heat cycles on it, and plus the 30 laps or whatever we did before that. One long run there, I previously in the race, and why I fell back to, like, 10th or so, I was saving my tires because we were kind of short on gas, and I said saved enough gas, so I was going to keep my tires on it and try and get back up through the top 10, hopefully win it, but caution came out. And then I had to really charge my way up there. And then 2 really good restarts for me. I was able to get into 3rd behind Graham and Derek.
We saw that, everybody was kind of conserving their tires in the early portions of the race, trying to make it to the fuel window, which was about 60 laps. Once that fuel window opened and you knew you were good to go the rest of the way, did you still have the mentality of trying to conserve tires, or were you at the point of thinking, we're going to have these late race restarts, we're going to have late yellows, let's just use up what we've got and try and gain the track position we can?
I was trying to go for it for most of it. Just, burn up my tires, use my tires, because a lot of times, like at the start of the race, and I believe Justin Malula gave you the information there, 60 laps. It was actually 39 laps. We have limited fuel in this league, so so it ended up, so it was like a 100 lap race or so. We were trying to split it up into like 33, or 34. So like you could really only split it into short runs and use your tires. Um, and then that last run, I was just gonna say for 20 laps, go for 20 laps, but caution came out like I said, and then at the end I was just uh, using the hell out of them. So just I don't know, I just was using them.
You've been really close a couple of times. I didn't see the Phoenix race, but I remember back at Rockingham, you were really close to getting a win. You were close here. I mean, what's it got to take to get that last little bit, that final position to get this 29 in victory lane?
I just keep getting in, weird incidents, or like I just call the strategy wrong. Like tonight, I called the strategy wrong. If I had played my cards right and knew when the cautions are gonna fall, I probably could have been in front of Graham and maybe even Derek. But Derek was up front for most of the race, so um, yeah. And then Phoenix, I led I think the most laps, or was in the top three for most of the race. Then I got put in the wall on a green flag pit cycle. So still managed the top 10 there, but yeah, we're really high in the points still. I'm sure we're pretty far and locked into the playoffs by now, but yeah, that's mostly what I'm going for the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, you came in second in points. This third place run is going to continue to build on that, making a clear case for you to get into the playoffs. We're going to turn the microphone over to you and let's do some shout outs here.
Sure thing. If people don't know, I'm an eNASCAR Coke Series driver, so I race for Team Dillon Esports there. I drive the Coke car. We got StockX beneath, Total Advantage, and Sparko on the car, and Austin Dillon, of course, is owner of that team. And then in this league, Kyle Riley told me to say that I'm on Scuderia Meatball Marinara is the team, so that's my FTF team. So yeah, I think that's it.
All right, that's Blake Reynolds, brings it home third place today. Wish you luck next week going road course racing at Homestead.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, we're going to see if we can get a word here with second place finisher Graham Bolin, who, even though he ended up making that bump in turn 3, even still made it interesting at the line. 79 1000, still very close photo finish here at Atlanta, and we do have him here. Graham, I mean, first off, first race here in FTF, and you definitely put on a show.
Yeah, that was fun. I wish I didn't hit the cone, and maybe drop to the back with like 30 to go. But it was fun coming through the field, though. That was a big blast. I'll probably run this every week now. Like, that was really fun. Yeah, that was really fun.
Now, we know that you were able to keep pace with the 31 on that last restart, but it kind of looked like maybe the restart before that, restarting right behind the 31 and being able to go when he went, might have really been your best shot. I mean, do you think there was really any difference between those two restarts, or if you had a choice between those two, which one would you have wanted more, starting on the outside of the front row or inside of the second row?
I felt like I had a better chance starting second because I just didn't spin the tires that much, and I was closer to him. I think he had better tires than me because I was going as hard as possible the whole run, trying to get to the front. And since I don't even know when we had that set of tires in the first place, but I I I was like cranking the wheel, trying to just go through the field, and then that final restart was the closest I was going to get to him. So I tried to send it as hard as possible. I tried to hit him square, and luckily I did that. So hopefully we didn't wreck. So.
Yeah, talk about working your way through the field there, because you spend most of the race up there around inside the top 5, and then suddenly you're back there. I mean, how difficult was it to traverse your way through the field here, working your way back up to the front?
It was pretty hard. Like, no one was laying over. Like, everybody's really fast in this league. Like, very competitive league. Uh, yeah, you should probably sign up for it if you want to. Yeah.
All right, well, a great second place run here for your debut, and we're going to now turn the microphone over to you and let you do any shouts you want to do.
Thank you, Joe Gibbs Racing, Interstate Batteries, and Rowdy Energy for sponsoring me. Brian Cook and JJ DeMonto at Joe Gibbs Racing, and that's really it.
All right, that's Graham Bolin, brings it home in the second position for his debut. Love to see you back here again, and of course next week we've got the Homestead Road Course, so it'll be interesting to see what you can do there.
Well, I did not realize that. That's gonna be fun.
All right, and now we're going to see if we can get a word with our race winner, Derek Justice.
User joined your channel.
And we've got him, and this is getting very familiar here, interviewing Derek Justice in Victory Lane. And Derek, I kind of compared this quite a bit to the Auto Club race, where you kind of hung back in the early portions. You were outside the top 10, then you worked your way into the top 10, then the top 5, and then you're up there at the end, controlling the late race restarts. I mean, is this just kind of like a strategy of yours when you come to these speedways to kind of follow that pattern, or is it just it works out that way?
Well, tonight it just worked out that way. I was very, very fortunate. My pit crew gave me fantastic stops. I gained a lot of spots in pit road today, and voice crack. Sorry. But anyways, yeah, it's so hard to pass here, and I knew when I got out to the league, I'm thinking I'm just gonna push it hard as I can and try to build a decent lead and see what happens because wasn't able to, go hard but not go hard stupid and just burn up the tires. So yeah, this was not easy to come by any means. This is a strong group, a very strong group. I mean, we got a bunch of coke drivers. You got guys 6K I rating, 7K I rating. I mean, it's across the board. It's just there's battles everywhere. It's a lot of fun. So but like I said, I was very fortunate to have very good pit stops. And when I saw the leaders stayed out, I think it was like 40 or 50 to go. When we have a 7-lap run, I'm thinking, oh, this is my opportunity. I'm just gonna go in. So then I said, I got a power move on the outside because the guys are gonna protect the bottom. So and that's what I did.
I want to go back to the restart before our first overtime green white checkered because you had controlled the restart there on brand new tires. Then when that caution came out late, you made the choice to keep the track position, but you were out there on 19 lap old tires. What was the difference of feeling between restarting with the fresh Goodyears and having those older tires under you?
I knew track position is key no matter how many laps. And when there's green white checkers, always track position before tires because especially when you're in a leader, you're a sitting duck, so you just hopefully you make the right choice. I saw the mirror behind me when we were approaching yellow flag pit stops and see what people else would do, and I saw people were hanging back a lot, so I said, okay, so I'm gonna hang back with them, make the choice harder for them, so they can't make a 2 or 3 second decision should I pit or not. So I kind of hang back and make their decision a little bit harder than what mine was.
Well, it definitely got close there at the end. Want to talk a little bit about the move there into 3 that the 18 made on you? He said he wanted to hit you square, if anything. I mean, was that what you were expecting? Was you were going to get a little bit of a bump there? Or, what was the thought process of where the 18 was going to try and go and where he was going to try and make the move?
It's the final lap. What do you expect? I mean, you're going for a win. You're going for a win. Like I was expecting. I wasn't expecting less. Like if he was gonna bump me, I had enough trust in him that he wasn't gonna wreck me for the win because he probably would have felt super horrible if he wrecked me for a win. And like I said, he's a cook driver. He knows what he's doing. He's not going to just blatantly spin somebody out. And I mean, the guy's a wheel man. Like Graham Bowen is a freaking wheel man. Like, I mean, that's why he's a cook driver. That's why Gibbs picked him up. I mean, he's the 18. Like, he's literally the Kyle Busch of iRacing. I'm being quite honest. Like, he is the guy to beat each and every week when it comes to league racing, official racing, Coca-Cola series. The guy's a wheel man.
Well, absolutely exciting final lap there, and you pick up your 3rd win of the season, so the wins pile up, the playoff points continue to pile up, and we're going to turn the microphone over to you now and let you do any shout-outs you want to do.
Yeah, shout out for y'all that putting on this broadcast. Shout out to FTF putting on a fantastic lead. I would never thought this league will grow this drastically after the first season we did. The first season it was kind of a hit and miss with some people. This season is I call 100% success. All the admins do a great job. And like I said, nobody's perfect. There are some complaints about how the setup drive on past weeks, and they listen. So like I said, this setup was fun to drive. It wasn't plowing tight. You had to drive it, and it brings out the best of everybody. And shout out to Baskin Robbins, Purely Tea, Splash and Go Graphics, Cosmic Irish Shoe with the fantastic paint scheme, and last not least, my supporters on twitch.tv/Justin, and like I said, I got amazing support from my chat. They support me everywhere I go, no matter league racing or official racing. So it's nice to see.
All right, so we know that based off the wins, we know you're good at the mile speedways, the mile-and-a-half speedways, and the 2-mile speedways. Be interesting to see how you do with the road course next week at Homestead, Miami. But third win of the season for Derek Justice. Congrats, man.
Give you $10 if you finish it backwards.
No, road course next week. You probably won't see me out front. I'm gonna be, completely honest with you. I'm not a road course guy, so we'll see.
All right, so that's going to do it for our coverage here this evening from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Wild one from start to finish, and definitely the track conditions, as mentioned earlier, definitely played a huge factor into the outcome of this race and the racing we saw overall. And we will be seeing what happens next week. It's the first road course stop for the FTF Grand National Series, as they will be at the Homestead Miami Speedway, but running the road course configuration. I believe that is going to be broadcasted by STN, and then we will be back the following week at, I'm pretty sure it's South Boston, but I would have to double check. But I do know that we are, I believe, on tap for 2 weeks from tonight for the next FTF Grand National Series race on Flatout Racing Network. I want to thank Matt Rodriguez for jumping in here late and kind of helping me out as far as commentary. I was feeling lonely, so it's nice to have a little friend there at the end.
Hey.
And thank you everybody that tuned in. Hope you guys all enjoyed this broadcast. Wild finish here at Atlanta and expected no less. So once again, for Matthew Rodriguez, I'm Seth Cole. We will see you guys next time, and thanks for tuning in.